Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for joining me for another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And this time I'm going to be talking about my experience with Google Stadia so far. Now, I remember when this platform launched, there was a lot of issues for people getting going because there were so many unnecessary requirements to get going on it. And a lot of that has been alleviated. Actually, all of the unnecessary requirements have been alleviated. So you really just need to have your Gmail account and sign up, and you can play games through Stadia. So that's a big improvement. First. Secondly, as it has been stated before, you don't need the Google Stadia controller in order to be able to play games through the service. I mean, I played with my USB Xbox One controller myself on my PC, so there wasn't an issue there. And I was able to get set up and going relatively quick with that in mind. And if you're playing on a mobile phone or a tablet, you'll likely be able to play with a Bluetooth controller or a USB controller if you have an OTG cable. That said, the experience that I had with Stadia so far, I can say was okay. It's okay. Like, I've only really had it for a week, and I'm in the trial period, the 1 month trial. It was all right. That's it. I can't say it's horrible, but it isn't great. Now, the benefit of Stadia is that you'll be able to play it basically on any device. And that is a massive benefit outside of consoles. outside of other console platforms, that is a major benefit. And there is a way to set up to be able to connect with friends and have a friends list and all that stuff. That they have that covered. Problem is that you would think that Google would have Stadia automatically set up to recognize people that are a part of your friends list already on Google, like on Gmail, or people that you even are following and subscribed to on YouTube. There's no showing of that whatsoever. No showing. So I'm like, that's odd to not have that directly integrated, because you are streaming the games to the device you're playing on. Nothing's installed. It's being streamed right to your device. I mean, I played, what game was it? I played Super Bomberman R online. I wish it was actually like the full game, but it's still fun to play. Then I played Panzer Dragoon, the remake, which I really would love to talk to Sega about that game. I mean, it's still a fun game, but there are some clear issues with it, but I'll drop that for now. It's not the whole point of this. And there's a few others I'm going to be testing out whenever I have the chance to do it. Like right now I don't, because people got to work. and I record these sometimes while I'm on my way to work, so. But Stadia itself, the idea is okay. Well, actually, the idea is pretty good, because that means you can take just about any computer, or any computer, any Mac that somebody's got, like, as long as it's not super old, and you can play these games on there. Which, that's great for a lot of people. To be honest, like, that's great for a lot of people that just don't have the money to go out and buy a new console, or they don't have the money to go out and buy a gaming PC or pay for the parts to build one. So that works out for that crowd. But I will always say that, you know what, having it on something local to you is always better, because your internet goes down, you're screwed. That's it. And another weakness of Stadia, as I have stated multiple times on different podcasts and in different discussions I've done separately, if they ever take that game off the server, you lose it automatically. So, like, that's why I don't like the idea of Stadia being a a service that you can purchase games on, when they can just rip the game away from you at any point. I really don't like that idea. Now, as a service where you're paying them to play games, okay, I get that. I understand it fully. There have been multiple services out like that before, so that I have no qualms with. So, like, if my suggestion to anyone would be, if you're going to give Stadia a shot, go ahead and do the free month trial first, see how well it works with your computer and how well it runs off your internet. Mine, it did okay. There were some moments where it got a little choppy and lagged a little bit, but it wasn't a consistent problem. It just did it every once in a while. But there are some times where that can be very critical and ruin what you're doing. So that's a risk you take, especially when you're playing a game that's online and is multiplayer. That is a huge risk, because you're streaming more than just a part of the game to the internet to be able to play with other people. You're streaming the whole game to yourself. So that is something to consider and think about. That aside, I do think, again, it's a good idea. Their biggest problem is that none of the exclusive games that they talked about are on this service. Everything that's there is a third-party game, which you can have and play better on other platforms. So it's like, you really didn't do anything to draw people in. You haven't done anything that's wowed anyone. So your service is pretty much shot, unless you can come out with some really big hitter titles. They really need them. They need that, and a way to be able to play across other hardware, like other platforms, or at least play cross-platform with other games. If they don't do that, there's no point to this service. It will eventually just fail, and Google will be tossing it out in about a year or two. So it's one of those things where it's a good idea, but they're missing some things that would help make it great and help people be interested in it. And that is wholly true. They are missing some really good and important parts to this whole thing. Now, another thing that would help them, and I know Google doesn't want to do this, is to have a physical machine that can house at least the games, that it can at least store them. But then again, I guess it really wouldn't matter if they did that and they took functionality of the games away, because then you just have a hard drive full of games that you can't play. So maybe that's not the best idea. But as I'm thinking about it, it's just like, there's so much that could be done with this that you guys are just like sleeping on. Like when they were showing off demos of games that they were working on or had teams working on, they had games that had asymmetrical gameplay. And I'm like, why not do this? Why not push to do this? Why not work harder at getting this done? If I was Google, I wouldn't have rushed Stadia out. Stadia would have been waiting until next year to come out if I was running Google, to be fully honest. But I'm not running Google, so that's just what it is. I haven't really tried the interactivity features with YouTube and things like that just yet. So that's something else I will have to be able to try out and talk about and see how it works. Because I was really just going ahead and playing the games and seeing what I could get done there. But I will save that for another day. So, because, I mean, my overall opinion of Google Stadia right now is it's a decent service. It is not a console, but it is a decent service. And it works fairly well on not so great internet. Because your experience is going to vary based on how good your internet is and how close to those data centers you are. And if I remember correctly, I'm not very far from one of Google's data centers, so I guess that worked in my favor. But for now, that's it. Thank you everyone for taking your time and listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out.